Hawkins County and the DA, I'm sure, would love to have this wrapped up because they're tired of fools like you calling down there and bugging Miss Becky, and they're tired of fools like me, doing my rants, and they're tired of, Doug and Josh and now because you ain't telling me now. I know there is some crappy people in Hawkins County law enforcement, just like there is in every other city and town around the United States. But you can't tell me that every person in the rescue squad, the sheriff's department, the highway patrol, EquiSearch, some of the community members, surely to God, all of them ain't.
Yeah, all of them ain't bad. They can't be.
Ain't bad, But here's one thing, and I said this somewhere in the chat the other day. Had been yesterday because, like I said, I ain't been feeling good. But the one thing that gets me is, I think it was over on Lolly's channel. She did a short live the other day, and I called it. There's been 2 hunting seasons now, and there's 2 years of leaves off the trees, brush died down, men and women roaming through the woods. And I'm just wondering, just because of the environment down there and the type of people that live down there, if somebody didn't run up across her remains and just simply didn't want to get involved and just kept on walking and never said
I've thought about that.
Anything, and
I've also thought something even worse. The pure evil that live in that area. And there are pure evil.
Yeah.
There's good people, but there's pure evil. Did somebody do something even more nefarious?
Yeah.
And, I don't even want to think about that. Just my stomach's turning right now thinking about that. But it does bother me. I saw somebody say a while ago, Dawn said, she'll never be found. That bothers me. I'll tell you another thing that always bothered me from the beginning. That just made my stomach turn, is the tree workers. That always bothered me as well. So I don't, there's just so many things. Why are there so many things? There's more questions than answers in this small area right there. Yet, it's just.
Well, you know as well as I do. You probably know. Well, you do know better than what I do. And don't take this the wrong way. I'm just saying this in general, being silly. Hawkins County and the DA, I'm sure, would love to have this wrapped up because they're tired of fools like you calling down there and bugging Miss Becky, and they're tired of fools like me, doing my rants, and they're tired of, Doug and Josh and everybody, Benny, and it's nothing against any of those people. They just want it done, so they got to quit fooling with all of us. They can just put the thing to bed and be done with it, and quit fooling with the whales and all their pranks and stupid games and all that kind of stuff. And they're tired of getting all the calls about Jody Sue Brown sitting down there and her crazy stuff. And they got to be sick of it.
I know they are. Yeah,
I'm sure they want it solved and done just so they ain't got to deal with all our craziness.
Well, look at the application thing. Hey, I was the first. Yeah. I was the first one to get the application. Look, it backfired when Carl called, and then it backfired, and then they ended up sending, what was it, 50, not only one to him and Tiffany Marie by computer, but then it backfired, and then they sent them to some cops over at Lower God. So, the price and everything's got to stop.
Then people, Carl and that other woman, Fiona, whatever, when they're sticking their nose in the reward fund, getting that all messed up with the rescue squad and Tim Coop down there, and having to get the court involved and lawyers, which, the lawyers was loving it because they was getting paid.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm sure that because people have been, it's just the way that we are. We're curious and we want to know. And, I've got a couple of calls where I called down there to the sheriff's department. And then I called somewhere else. I can't remember where it was, which they wasn't near as in depth as what yours was. They were just like 2 or 3 minute phone calls.
Ziggy got caught from calling the jail where Brandon Lawson was.
Yeah.
The inmates. I was like, oh, Lord.
Right.
Yeah. I said, I'd at least ask them some real questions or whatever.
And, we ain't even got no idea about, what people that are, subscribers, which ain't no different than what me and you are. Me and you are just stupid enough to push the go live button, Yeah. But we don't know what all the subscribers, have called in and aggravated them and they just don't have a channel, so they ain't never put it on YouTube, or maybe they just got a Facebook and they do it on Facebook and we never even see it over here, And then you got all the people on Twitter, them doing their stuff. So it just ain't YouTube. I mean, it's everywhere, all the social media is.
Well, look, I couldn't help it because Miss Becky spilled out her whole guts. I just couldn't help it.
Right.
I just let her talk. And then I had to figure out how to call back. Now, look, I want to get this clear. I knew when she said they could not prosecute without a body. I wasn't dumb, y'all. I knew that, but I had to figure out how I was going to get the second phone call in. So I just let that stay with whatever she said so I could, get my ducks in a row and I could call her back so I could get my list of who they prosecuted without a body, because I knew that, wasn't the case or whatever, but that was my next foot in. So then she talked to me on the next call, but then on the third call, I guess it was all over YouTube. I wasn't too smart because I put it out there. I should have waited and got off phone calls. But then she was like, now look, I know you're putting this all over YouTube. And so, yeah, that just blew it. But anyway, she wasn't too happy about that. We're all liable to have a family reunion over in a YouTubian family reunion over in Hawkins County one day soon.
Right.
Them shields might come off of everybody's face and we might all meet up. Oh, God. Prayer Garden might have to show her face after all.
I'll tell you that. Them women's crazy over there.
Yeah. Lord have mercy.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
Well, my name is Tammy, and I was trying to call. I've been trying to call all week, but I never get an answer or a voice. And
Our phones have been down for a solid 10 days. We didn't get any phones until late Friday afternoon.
oh, okay, yes, ma'am. So I was just calling. I was trying to find out a couple of things. I noticed well, first of all, can you tell me how things are coming along with the Summer Wells case? Would you mind telling me that?